Heed the Dogs RPG Tabletop Fundamentals, Stars Without Number.
Thank you very much, Garthon. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope we find you well. Today, we're going to talk about Stars Without Number. It is a game of humanity in the far-flung future, lost and adrift on thousands of planets, cut off from each other, trying to rebuild society that fell apart. And if this interests you, I'm sure there's going to be a card next to me, right over here, giving you my introduction to the game, all the backstory, all the things you're going to want to know. And if you like that, go ahead and follow the channel, subscribe, do all that good stuff to get more content all the time. Now, back to Stars Without Number. These are the details. It came out in 2010, the original version. I'm talking about the revised version, which came out in 2017, by Kevin Crawford, self-published. It's good. It's a good book. You know, if you read the book, you'd say, okay, which company made this? No. And of course, you can get it at Draft3RPG for $19.99. The free edition obviously is free. The difference between the free and the bought version is there's a couple classes and a couple of powers that are absent, but you don't need them to thoroughly enjoy this game. Trust me. But if you want the hardcover, you're hardcore, like I like the feel of a hardcover book, it'll run you $60. On eBay, it's more than that. So Draft3RPG is the way to go on that one. So check that out. All right, now let's get down to the business. The system. Okay. I'm going to talk about all the things you need to know to be able to play the game. We're going to talk about attributes. We're going to talk about how to roll them up, what they do for you, general overview. I'll be more specific during the character generation when they become more, I don't know, when they get more into focus, when they matter more at the moment.
Wait, this
then
game
we're
has
talking
giant
about
robots?
This game does have giant robots.
I'm in.
Yes. All right. And skill checks. How to calculate success and failure for things you know and things you don't know. Things you don't know well. Things you know very well. I don't know. Saving throws. It has saving throws, just like a lot of OSR games. And you want to avoid these situations, you got to roll the die, man. Hopefully you get lucky. And of course, scenes and durations. Now, this is going to come in important. The length of a scene. What is a scene? How long do my abilities last if it says one scene? What does that mean? I'm going to tell you. And then, of course, we're going to go into some combat. So you can see how combat works, how to smite your enemies, raise the villages, plunder, and, do the whole Conan thing. But first, we're going to talk about attributes. Talk about your statistics. Now, this one, again, nothing new. This is the OSR type attributes. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Anyone who's ever picked up a D&D book will know all of these things. And rolling them is old school as well. You roll 3d6, you add it up, and then you go down the list. Boom, boom, one at a time. Write your number. Those are your stats. Now, this is very draconian. Even when it was D&D, I was like, damn, 3d6, that's like averaging 9, 10. That's kind of bad. But they give you 2 lifelines in this one. After you roll all your stats, the odds of you rolling a really crappy stat
Are pretty
very
high.
low. Well, no. I mean a really crappy. There's only one super crappy stat. That's a 3. You got to roll triple ones. All right. Here's your first out. You can, if you want, replace any stat with a 14. Any stat you want with a 14. Any one stat. Your choice. After you roll. That's great. You can really get rid of a really crappy stat. Or if you had your heart set on playing a certain class, but your strength or intelligence or charisma or whatever is just too low, replace it with a 14. Definitely not too low anymore. Or you can go the predetermined route and just choose your stats from below. 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, 7. It's made to where 4 of them are average, 1 is just below average, and 1 is just above average. Rounds you out. You can choose that. Those are your choices. Take it or leave it. I love it. Now, I want you to look at the ability score modifiers in the second picture below. Unlike D&D, they're very low. D&D goes anywhere from plus or minus 4 to plus 12 or 14 or whatever for like giant strength or junk like that. No. Maximum plus 2, maximum minus 2, and only the highest and lowest stat possible gives you those bonuses. Now, the reason they did this is genius. The reason they did this is because they want to make stats not matter. Okay? a low stat or a high stat is now less about gameplay and more about flavor. It gives you role-playing opportunity rather than a huge bonus or a huge detriment during your life and gameplay, which I like. I like it a lot. Good bonus for this system. I like it. Now, let's move on to skills. All right, here's how they work. There's a skill check. You roll 2d6. You compare it to the target number on the picture below, 6, 8, 10, 12, or 14 or higher. If you equal or greater, if your roll is equal or greater to the target number, you make it. Now, here's how you calculate your skill. First, you have a skill level. Level 0 means you have the skill. It's basic, you're trained. And then levels 1 through 4 means you are not only trained, expertly trained, but also practiced toward the end. Now, each skill level adds its level to the result. So if you have skill level 0, it's just you rolling. Okay, but if you have no skill in it at all, you roll at a -1. Here's an example. You're a pilot and you're trying to land in a combat zone. All right. Let's just say it's going to be target number 8. It's a significant challenge. You're being shot at a lot, and this target zone is a makeshift landing area, so it's not exactly ideal in any way, shape, or form. So you roll your 2d6 plus your skill level. Let's say your skill level's 2. So you roll 2d6 plus 2. That is your result. You need to roll at least a 6 to equal the target number of 8. And that would be just below an average roll on 2d6. So you got a little tiny bit better than 50-50 shot at doing it, but hey, you're getting shot at. What do you want? There's more. Your attribute, if it is exceptional, you get either a +1 or +2, or a -1, -2, depending on if it's exceptional one way or the other, added to the result. So in that old example, you roll 2d6 plus your skill level, which is 2, plus your ability. Let's say you have a dex of 14. That's a +1. Now you have a total of 2d6 plus 3. Now you need to roll a 5 or higher on 2d6 to equal 8. Now, the important thing to remember is you are not going to be rolling skills all the time. In fact, the book does not want you to roll skills unless it's super important. The book does not want you to waste your time rolling for everything. For example, if you are landing and it's a normal landing, you're not under fire, it is a proper airfield, you're not rolling. As long as you have the skill at skill level 0, you're not rolling. Oh, but there's some wind shear. It's like, no, there's wind shear on an average day in every flight. No.
But
it has to be
a storm, that's different.
That is unusual situation. You are in the middle of a thunderstorm. That's different. Now you have to roll. But air pocket, wind shear, whatever, you have a headwind, that crap doesn't matter. That happens all the time.
Just raining.
Right? Yeah, just raining, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's what instruments are for. It's foggy. You got instruments. Shut up. So the game does not want you to roll unless it's dramatic. So if you have the skill, you just win unless it's dramatic if you fail. That's it. Then it takes us to saving throws. This is how you avoid misfortune. Now, saving throws, if you don't know, which everyone should, if something has already happened to you, this is your chance to mitigate the damage or lessen it so much that it's avoided. Say it's falling rocks out of the sky. You roll a saving throw to try and take cover. You are bitten by a snake. That happened to you. It's poisonous. Oh, now your body has to fight off the poison. You would roll a saving throw. There are 3 kinds of saving throws in this game: physical, mental, and evasive. Physical ones are obviously you are fighting exhaustion, you're fighting a poison, disease, something like that. You roll a saving throw, a physical one. Mental, you have to stay focused on something for extreme long a time. You're battling mental stress, or you're under some kind of torture or some kind of telepathic invasion. You'd roll a mental saving throw. Evasive, these are dodging. It's dodging, getting out of the way of that giant rolling rock, Indiana. Get out of the way. You roll your evasive save. All saving throws start at 15. Now you roll your d20, you make a 15 or higher, and you get it. It goes down by 1 per level. Modified by the relevant attribute. And this is where the attributes get a good name yet again. Now, I said earlier that I like them a lot because it doesn't give or take away too much from gameplay. So much so that even now the game gives you an out because you choose your best stat from strength or con to augment or detriment your physical saving throw. Wisdom or charisma for your mental, and dex or intelligence for your evasive. So if you have one dump stat, like, oh crap, I rolled a 5. Boo. But your other stat is a 15. You can choose the 15 and get that +1 bonus to your saving throw. Yeah. Again, stats are for flavor, not to make someone OP in gameplay or just horrible, just a dumpster fire in gameplay. They're just for flavor. They're for role playing. Do it. And this game allows you to do that. I love it. It's awesome. Now, after saving throws, we get to define what a scene is. A scene is the entirety of an action or event, meaning a combat. You get into combat. The scene will last as long as the combat is going on. If there is a significant break in the combat, the scene is over. If you are in negotiations with someone who has stolen something from you or has something that you want to buy, the length of the negotiation is the length of the scene. If you're infiltrating a building, until you get into the building and where you want to be in that building, that is the infiltration scene. It goes on for as long as it has to go on. Now, the reason that defining a scene is important is because some powers and abilities in the game say they last for a scene, or you can use them 4 times in the same scene.
All right.
And a scene is fluid. It's the cinematic definition of time. When I read this, I immediately thought back to the Old World Darkness that we played.
Yep.
Where powers would last for a whole scene, and they did it the exact same way. A scene is the current complication or issue that you are resolving, and the power will last as long as the scene lasts.
Because honestly, that makes a lot more sense than saying every 5 hours. It's like, well,
yes,
what do
exactly.
you do? We wait. That's all you're gonna say. We find a place to hide for 5 hours.
Yeah, we wait 5 hours, whatever.
But saying a scene, well, you're still in the same scene. I don't care how long you wait.
Yes, this game wants to be a more cinematic drama than a by the numbers rules mongering Munchkin Fest. All right. So now we'll get to combat. Speaking of Munchkin Fest, we'll get to combat. Okay, this is how you fight. Rounds and initiative. A round is 6 seconds. That's common in a lot of games. Rounds being 6 seconds long. To roll initiative, you roll a d8 and add your dex modifier, be it positive or negative. That is your initiative. When the round reaches that initiative number, that is your turn. Your turn is when you go in a round, is when you can do a main action in a round. And after the first round, when initiative is rolled, initiative is not re-rolled until the combat is over. So that's your spot in the initiative order. Hope you like it, because you're not getting another one. Now, the combat system is a D20 based system. So you roll your D20. You add your skill level for melee weapons, laser weapons, sword, whatever you have skill in that you're attacking with, plus your ability modifier, be it dexterity for a ranged weapon or strength for a melee weapon. Then you add your attack bonus. Your attack bonus is generally 1/2 of your level rounded down. So a level 1 person would not have an attack bonus. A level 2 would have a +1. All right, now fighter type classes, the more warrior classes, they have bonuses that go beyond this, but your base attack bonus is 1/2 your level rounded down. You roll your d20, you add these 3 things together, and that is the armor class that you hit. If it is equal to or greater than the armor class of your opponent, he gets hit. That's it. Now the damage, each weapon has a stated damage. It is augmented by your ability bonus. If you hit someone with a ranged weapon, let's say a Glock, it does 1d6 damage +1 because you have a 14 dex. It's not like you agiled it into hitting harder. It's more like you were aimed for a softer spot and it does more damage. Now, if it's a melee weapon, your strength, well, you just pushed it through. You just pushed it through and you did more damage. That's how clubs work. That's how it works. So that's your basic combat. And combat actions. These are the things you can do on or around your turn. There are 4 basic types of actions you can take during a round. There are more, but if you understand these 4 basic ones, you'll understand all the rest. The first is main action. You get one of these every time it's your turn. One around during your turn. This is attacking, using a skill, working a complex device, something that will take the majority of your 6 seconds that you have in a round. A complex action. Then there's your move action. Your move action, you get 1 move action per turn, and you can move up to 10 meters. You can move less, but you can't bank it. So if you move 5 meters and say, I only want to move 5 meters, that's your move. You're done. Now, if you're moving through rough terrain, moving through mud, moving through fog, moving on ice, something where you have to be careful or manage or use a lot more strength or dexterity to manage, your movement is half, so it's 5 meters. And then there's your on turn action. Okay, this is you can do it anytime during your turn. For example, if before your turn, before initiative was rolled, you had your hand on your gun in your holster. At any point during your turn, you can pull that gun for free. You can pull that gun and then fire. Pull it and fire. It's fine because you were readied. It was an action that was readied beforehand. You can do it and it won't take away your main action. And then there's the instant action. The instant action, you could do any of these at any time during the round. Before your initiative, after your initiative, doesn't matter because these are very, very simple actions. For example, let's say you have a dead man switch and it's connected to a whole bunch of dynamite. Someone says, I shoot him. And as the person says that, you can say, I let go. That is an instant action. It can happen at any point during the round, even before your initiative, because it's a very simple action, basically a reflex. If you had a button in your hand, a device in your hand, and you had your finger over the button, pressing that button would be an instant action. You were ready for it. It takes just a fraction of a second. Done. You can do it anytime, even before your initiative. These are your 4 main types of action you can do during a round in combat. And that is it. That is all you need to know to be able to play this game.
All right.
Now, we've already done the introduction, and today we've done the rules and system of play. Next time, we're going to go through character generation. We're going to talk about attributes in more detail. We're going to talk about all the classes. We're going to go through the skills, and we're going to equip us up, get some guns, get some armor, get some chalk, some field rations, whatever you need. We're going to do that. We're going to make ourselves a character. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. Remember, Stars Without Number, Kevin Crawford. So far, I gotta highly recommend this game. But hey, you know what? Character generation could be a flop. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so far the system seems really interesting, really laid out pretty well. It's a little different than other systems. We're like a refinement of stuff we've seen in other systems.
Yes. I think of it as a refinement of AD&D 2nd Edition. The way I would want it to go rather than 3.5, I would have rather had this.
I loved 3.5, so
I understand. A lot of people didn't, though.
Really? Right. The only people I've run into who don't are you and Schlo. You and Max Leo. Everyone else I talk to loves 3.5.
Actually, everyone I used to play AD&D 2nd Edition with, like, I tried to play 3.5, it sucked. I finally waited until I got to 5, and now I can play it. I'm like, all right.
Really? Because 3.5 is much better than 5, in my opinion.
In your opinion. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But what did you think of this segment? What are your thoughts on Stars Without Number? Do you think it's so far sounds like a good game? If you think so, go ahead and throw it in chat. Go and throw it in the comments below. If you don't, tell me why. I want to know why you think it's bad, and I might even cover that in my next segment. And you have any suggestions for my next tabletop RPG? I want to hear it.
Well, thank you very much, Heathen Dog. And remember, if you want more Heathen Dog, you find him on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. You can find his anime stream segments. his tabletop gaming fundamental segments, his team-ups with Garthon, Elgarian, and others at select video game streams. You can join for full streams of anime, comics, and games, member-only chat and giveaways, and monthly Q&A with Legion Myth members, and account towards Patreon giveaway goals. Thank you, everyone, and remember, be a Legionnaire.